Imagine a student deciding whether to attend an after-school economics class. The class requires time and effort, and perhaps they would rather stay at home and watch Netflix or play video games. From their perspective today, the course does not seem particularly valuable and useful. However, years later, the knowledge gained may help them enter a top university, secure a better job, and earn a much higher income. The problem is that when making the decision today, the student may not fully appreciate these future benefits. Economists call goods like education merit goods. A merit good is a good or service that is underconsumed in a free market because consumers underestimate its true private benefits. Now, notice something very important. This definition is different from a positive consumption externality. With a positive consumption externality, society receives benefits that consumers ignore. With the merit goods, the consumers fail to recognize their own future benefits. The market failure comes from imperfect information, behavioral biases, or short-term thinking. Now let's continue with education. A student deciding whether to study mainly consider today's costs. They may think about homework, examinations, tuition fees, and the loss of leisure time. But they may underestimate future benefits such as higher lifetime earnings, better employment opportunities, greater career flexibility, and improved financial security. Because these future private benefits are underestimated, fewer people choose education than would be optimal. Now let's illustrate this on a diagram. On the vertical axis, we measure costs and benefits. And on the horizontal axis, we measure quantity of education consumed. Let's now first draw an upward sloping supply curve and also label it as marginal private cost. Since education creates no production externality in this example, the marginal social cost is equal to marginal private cost. So MSC overlaps with MPC. Now, let's focus on demand. First, let's draw a downward sloping curve and label it as marginal private benefit perceived. This represents the benefits consumers believe they will receive when making their decision. Because students underestimate the long-term advantages of education, this curve lies lower than the true benefit curve. Next, let's draw another downward sloping demand curve and label it as NPB actual. The actual marginal private benefit curve. It represents the true private benefits that consumers receive over their lifetime. Since there are no external benefits in this pure merit-good example, marginal social benefit is equal to the true marginal private benefit curve. Therefore, MSB overlaps with the actual NPB curve. Well, the market equilibrium occurs when the perceived marginal private benefit intersects with marginal private cost. At this market equilibrium here, corresponding quantity being Qn. This is the quantity chosen by consumers based on their perceptions. Where the socially efficient outcome occurs when marginal social benefit intersects with marginal social cost at this socially efficient equilibrium point here with a corresponding quantity Qs. Since consumers underestimated the benefits, the socially efficient quantity Qs is greater than the market equilibrium quantity Qm. The market underconsumed education. And the triangular area in between the two quantities, Qm and Qs, bounded by the marginal social cost and marginal social benefit curve here. This triangular area is known as the deadweight loss. These are mutually beneficial units of education that would increase welfare but are not consumed because consumers underestimated the true benefits. Well, governments often encourage consumption through subsidies, free state education, student loans, and information campaigns explaining the long-term returns to education. Well, these policies can help consumers make more informed decisions and increase consumption towards the socially efficient quantity. But in conclusion, a merry good is underconsumed because consumers underestimated their own private benefit. Unlike positive consumption externalities, the key issue here is not benefits to third parties. Instead, the market failure arises because consumers fail to recognize the full benefits that they themselves receive today.